Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a great one for you this morning. 60 million XRP moved, and Global Security Scoring Agency issues a warning to El Salvador. Cardano has some great news with exchanges coming up. You're going to want to know it. And Ripple fires back over SEC wanting messages from the Slack application and those communications between employees. We're going to hear from Jeremy Hogan in that matter and let him clear some things up on what's actually happening, what the strategy of the SEC and Ripple are. So we're going to look at that. And how about this one? Remember the petition from John Deaton? Remember all the little video clips from digital asset investors showing us where ETH is actually, in fact, a security and not a commodity because of the way they fundraised in the manner of an ICO? Well, we got lots of news on that. The Empower Oversight whistleblower group is now looking into it per Senator Grassley, investigating Hinman and Clayton, it looks like. We'll jump into that. We're also going to hear from Ron Hammond. He gives us boots on the ground look at the U.S. infrastructure crypto bill. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackUpBradleyAbove, and everything that we're talking about here today. $2.015 trillion market cap for cryptocurrency. Not bad, even though we're off by 1.33%. We're getting there, ladies and gentlemen. And right now, Bitcoin is sitting over $46,000. Ethereum sitting over $3,200. Cardano, $2.09. XRP is at $1.20 right now. And let's go ahead and look at the price range, because obviously it does look like from where we were at levels yesterday, 130 plus or whatever it was, we know that there is going to be some rollback and to support. And that looks like what we're seeing now at $1.20. The bottom range of XRP price is hit 113.72. The top side of the XRP price overnight hit 128.87. We'll keep an eye on that as the day goes. Let's get into the news. Hall of Famer Michael says Ripple, Decacorn, and Binance have transferred 60 million XRP, and the DLT company sent its part to a recently launched on-demand liquidity corridor. How about that? That is exciting. The more I can see the movements taking place that look like it is facilitating utility, man, I get excited. And that is exciting. Looking right here, in another criticism of El Salvador's planned Bitcoin adoption, the global credit scoring agency Fitch Ratings has warned the move will likely adversely affect credit ratings of the country's insurance sector. And I think they're speaking to the volatility of adopting Bitcoin itself. We will keep an eye on this. We'll see where this goes. Looking right here, 6 cryptocurrency exchanges are actively engaging with the Cardano Foundation to integrate the much anticipated smart contract upgrade. I tell you something, Charles Hoskinson has just been shoulder to the grindstone, and it looks like it's paying off. I mean, things are rolling out for Cardano in a very, very big way. Shout out to him and the whole team on Cardano right there. Let's take a look at this. I want to remind you, Cardano is also on iTrust, and the only thing better than buying crypto is buying tax-free crypto, and I just funded and finished. It's a process. You got to sign documents, wait for the money to get into the account, but I just finished the whole process yesterday, and it was amazing. I just bought some Cardano and Algo in my iTrust tax-free crypto IRA. Make sure you reach out to them. Check the link in the description. Let's take a look here, because this gets into what we're talking about, and we're going into it now. So Ripple has fought back on the SEC filing a motion to want to retrieve Slack application communications from its employees. Ripple slams the SEC for demanding 1 million Slack messages, and I bet they do, because, look, we've asked for a ton of stuff from the SEC, and they have flat out refused to do it, and the judge has asked multiple times herself. I find that fascinating in its own right. Let's just take a look right here and get briefed up on what this is real quick. So in a letter to Magistrate Judge Sarah Netburn, lawyers representing Slack state the United States Securities Exchange Commission's request for more than 1 million Slack messages is burdensome and highly disproportionate. Hence, they argue that the SEC motion should be denied. Ripple points to the fact that several other courts have rejected similar discovery requests. It says here, other courts have considered similar discovery requests for Slack data, have ruled that Slack discovery is uniquely burdensome and costly, and have ruled against motions to compel their productions in cases where the moving party has already obtained significant discovery. So we will see what goes on with that, but I think this is a great reminder from this amazing video, as always, from Jeremy Hogan and Legal Briefs. And we're going to jump in now and see exactly what the SEC strategy is and the Ripple strategy. And this is going to get interesting to see how this shakes out. Listen to this little sound clip here at 6:14 through 7:37. Listen to this.
First, get a hint of this in the motion to compel production of Slack documents, where the SEC in footnote 3 on page 3 lists whose Slack messages it once searched.
And you can see names here: Corey Johnson's, Stacey Nuo, I think it is, and Shanna Leonard. And it says here, Vijay Chetty, Catherine Coley. It says members of the Ripple's finance team: Cameron Kinlock, Peter Eames, Warren Anderson, and Ripple engineer who worked with David Schwartz. So, and then you see other things down here: using Slack messages, refresh Madigan's recollection as individual defendant, Chris Larson's directive in 2020, and then that's obviously blacked out, right? So we'll see what comes of this. But, you know, this is what's interesting here is I feel like to the point, and well, actually, let's get back to what Jeremy said here. Let's listen.
Ripple employees it once searched include, you can see there in the footnote, it includes 3 members of Ripple's marketing team, members of Ripple's XRP market team, and members of Ripple's finance team. Now, what does the marketing team have to do with whether XRP is a security or not? Absolutely nothing. But it has everything to do with how Ripple marketed and treated XRP. And even more telling, let's look at the SEC request for production to Ripple, which is attached as Exhibit D to the emergency motion. Now, there are only 38 total requests, and many of those are kind of generic throwaway requests. But out of the 38, at least 12 or 13 of them are directly related to marketing efforts or Ripple's kind of trying to be an influence on XRP and its price. A good example is request number 6, which requests, quote, all documents concerning Ripple's efforts to promote purchase of XRP by retail purchasers. So from those types of requests, you can see what the SEC's tactic will be in its final motion for summary judgment. It's going to argue that Ripple marketed XRP, used XRP as kind of a stock option in order to get business partners to work with them and to raise capital, and otherwise treated XRP like a stock, even if technically it wasn't. And let's compare that with what strategy Ripple is applying. Now, as you may be aware, back on April 6th, Ripple went to a hearing with the judge and won the right to receive formal internal correspondence from within the SEC about whether XRP and Ether were securities. And apparently to date, the SEC has not produced one single document to Ripple. So finally, after all this time, Ripple filed a motion to compel production of the documents. We've been waiting a long time for this, and it was filed last week and by the one and only attorney, Matt Solomon.
And here you're going to hear him really show you what the Ripple strategy is here. Let's take a look at this right here.
And here is the argument. Looking at the bottom of second paragraph, quote, discovery in this case has confirmed that during much of the same period, market participants and the SEC itself were still uncertain about whether or not digital assets generally, and XRP specifically, should be subject to regulation under federal securities laws. Now, if you own XRP, you should say a short prayer that this is true, because this would mean that Ripple has obtained evidence. Maybe they've deposed someone at the SEC, or they've obtained documents that say that the SEC itself wasn't sure whether XRP was a security. Boy, what.
Now, that is a big, big hint to what Ripple may be prepared to put forward. And I really hope they are. And my fingers are crossed, too. But you get to see that the SEC strategy here is that Ripple used XRP like a security, is what they're saying. Obviously, Ripple's defense is the fair notice defense, which is saying they never clearly stated what these assets are or that we were actually selling unregistered securities. For years this went on, right? So this is going to be exciting to see how this shakes out. However, Jeremy Hogan did put out an actual tweet to Gary Gensler, for which I think we all know he was never going to answer, and he did not answer the simple question that Jeremy had put forth to him, which was, is Ethereum a security? And basically, there was no answer, right? Except for Mr. Quintez at the CFTC, who said this.
And said, no, Ether is a non-security commodity. It is not a security.
Well, how about that? So you do have a market regulator speaking on Ethereum and saying it is a commodity. And I find that to be interesting because of the way we've all seen many, many different videos about Vitalik Buterin and other founders of Ethereum explaining an initial coin offering to the letter, right? To the word. And that brings in the notion that just like this, the Securities Clarity Act. And I feel like if something like this were to pass, or possibly even the Token Taxonomy Act from Ron Hinman, who we're going to hear from in a minute, but certainly this points to exactly the rub for the SEC, which is in fact that it states here in the Securities Clarity Act, should they be able to pass it here, that an investment contract for the purposes of the Securities Act means a contract transaction or scheme whereby a person invests money into a common enterprise and is led to expect to profit solely from the efforts of the promoter or a third party and have not endorsed the notion of an asset underlying an investment contract. And that's what we're really talking about here, is being able to separate the contract from the underlying asset. And it says it even here too. Although certain of those fundraising arrangements may be deemed to be investment contracts within the meaning given to that term in the section of the Securities Act, the underlying assets sold pursuant to these arrangements are frequently not themselves inherently securities as defined in Section 2A of the Securities Act. And that right there says you have the asset and you have a contract that you could have with someone over the asset, meaning you and I could have a contract over gold that we're going to buy and sell or trade back and forth to one another. That contract can be a security instrument, but it doesn't by default make the underlying asset that we're going to exchange at the end of the day an actual security. And to me, that really makes a lot of sense, because that starts to mirror what looks like the commodities market and certainly the metals market. There's plenty of futures, call options, swaps, puts, and things like that on top of metals, and it doesn't make gold, silver, platinum, or titanium or anything else that's a metal an actual security. Now, does it? So this gets interesting, very, very interesting as we move forward here. Now, what I'm looking at here is a change, because we've had a petition that went out from John Deaton, for which I know I signed it, and I hope you did too, over 30,000 signatures asking the SEC to investigate Jay Clayton and anyone else, Hinman, William Hinman as well, about the early days of Ethereum getting a free pass. We know we've seen many evidentiary videos that were put together by Digital Asset Investor. You can go to his page on Twitter and scroll down and find tons of them. Tons of them. It is irrefutable evidence that Ethereum is, in fact, an initial coin offering at the very least. Now, with that, we see some news pop up. This is Empower, Oversight, Whistleblowers, and Research. And I tell you something, this gets really, really interesting here, because, you know, this is Senator Grassley here. Empower Oversight files a Freedom of Information Act request seeking information on conflicts of interest in cryptocurrency at the SEC, baby. They're hearing all of us. They're hearing all of us. And that, to me, is extremely promising, and I hope that it just doesn't turn into a puppet show. But here is a response to that. This is Crypto Law's original tweet that says, Government Watchdog Group files lengthy FOI request demanding access to internal SEC documents and records targeting Jay Clayton, William Hinman, and Mark Berger over potential conflicts of interest on crypto while in office. And it goes through and has a whole list. But James K. Filan says here, I think the the SEC will deny the request, among other things, it will assert the same privileges it is asserting in the litigation. It will also claim whatever exemption it can from the attached list. But as Jesse Hines says, I hope it is successful. Me too, and I sure do. Jason Foster, who is a part of this Empower Oversight group or council, says it should be more difficult for the SEC to ultimately withhold the relevant external communications, not internal, the relevant external communications involving senior officials as opposed to internal pre-decisional deliberations. So there you have that. Now let's catch up really quick. What's going on with the U.S. crypto infrastructure bill? And let's see what's happening. Ron Hammond, thank you. He gives us a great update here. He says this week in Congress and crypto, with the House set to return to D.C. next week to vote on the infrastructure bill and budget resolution, the small united group of crypto policy experts look for paths forward to amend the current language, but general politics can get in the way. He goes on to say, currently there is still little clarity among House Democrats' leadership on the path forward to passing both provisions, as moderates and progressives have expressed their concern about both pieces of legislation. This will likely be resolved sometime this week by Speaker Pelosi. And it says here that House Dems currently have 4-vote margin, meaning Republicans will be looking for any reason to pick off Dems to tank the administration's largest policy priority outside the pandemic. The recent Afghanistan situation could throw in some political drama and uncertainty in terms of timing. While chances to amend this infrastructure bill are low, this is still a chance, and much of it depends on the procedure Speaker Pelosi decides on, as well as the general politics regarding the infrastructure bill. It is unclear if amendments will be allowed, but likely not. It says here, we've seen now several House Ds express concern regarding the current language regarding the definition of a broker. These include Representatives Isho and Foster, Kahana, Soto, and it says here, expect this number to grow as the vote nears. In the meantime, the United Coalition of Crypto Policy Experts will be hitting the House offices all week, educating them on ramifications of the language as it is currently written. We have already chatted with dozens of members and staffers and have built a strong base of support. Will it be enough to move the needle? Time will tell. One thing is for sure, there's a lot of momentum behind the crypto industry. Thanks for the effort of industry leaders, the grassroots, and policy experts tirelessly working on educating House members before the next vote. And thank you to Ron Hammond for everything you're doing, original architect of the Token Taxonomy Act, right? Worked with Warren Davidson, also worked at Ripple for a brief period of time, and now at the Blockchain Association, working for all of us. That's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below, share with somebody you know. Check out all the links in the description box and the comment section. They are trusted, vetted links. Be very careful what you click on out here, and they are products and services I use each and every day. I'll catch all of you on the next one.